Craigbot now recording.
That's not true. That was a lie. You told a lie, and it's recorded. Good luck getting out of this one. So anyway, this is Untitled, Unfocused. I'm Tyler. That's Rayman.
Hey, what's up?
Otherwise known as the criminal half of the podcast.
I'm the guy who swipes food into the movie theater. Got a really large coat with really large pockets. Pockets? Not sprockets. Pockets.
You ever do that? You ever take outside food or candy into movie theater?
All the time. Not anymore, because I don't eat in the movie theater anymore. That's just not me.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way where as a kid, it was like, ooh, we get to get some candy or something, or some popcorn, right? But as an adult, I'm like, I just need something to drink. I feel like not drinking something for 2 hours is kind of crazy. So just get me even just a water or something. But yeah, I don't really.
I'll just sit there for 3 hours, just not
You're
drinking.
insane. Your mouth is like, you're just sitting there with a really dry mouth, just water. just praying
Please,
that the end credits will roll.
Just a drip, my lord. A singular drop it to quench me thirst.
So today, Ray, we got, like we said last week, we got the finales of 3 of our shows. Kind of all part of our plan. Yeah. And then we're gonna go back to other shows. We got a 4th show we'll talk about later. But our first show, Place for the Universe, I think this was the one I enjoyed the most. I don't think this is the show I enjoyed the most, but these last 2 episodes,
these are the best 2 episodes.
They really hit me.
For the finale, these are the strongest 2 episodes they could give.
100%.
For the rest of these, I agree.
I was tearing up a little bit.
I cried.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to admit it. I cried.
Yeah, I was I didn't, because this wasn't a show, there was obviously emotional moments. He tied the characters, especially the whole Shiraz and the mom stuff, right? Kind of maybe got you a little bit throughout the show, but these last 2 episodes, I don't know, there's the evil geniuses, and they were just we're gonna craft these last 2 episodes to just destroy anyone who's seen the show.
We will tug and pull on your heartstrings until you cry.
Yeah, that was their only goal in this one. And so I feel like these last 2 episodes are the reason why people rate this show so high. Not that the rest of the show wasn't good, but this really there are other shows which are really good, and then the finale kind of sucks, and it's just kind of whatever.
Wonder Egg.
I will posit that the show was good, the OVA was garbage. So if we just forget that the OVA happened, Wonder Egg is still really good.
I don't know how I feel about the last episode, but the second class, I think Wonder Egg is pretty strong.
Yeah.
I think that's how I feel.
I don't remember it well enough.
Okay.
All I know is that the OVA was extremely disappointing.
OVA is bad though, yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Not only because half of it was recap. That's not even my problem with it, but yeah, so Shase finally got to the place, right? The Sawa station. There's a lot of really good moments in this show. We see why she's been kind of melancholy the past couple episodes, since getting there. And it's because she's made it. They mentioned the word journey so many times, and for her to be oh, but once I get there, there's nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's that feeling where if you do it and it's not the way you want it to be, it would just ruin everything.
Right.
So maybe it's better to not experience it at all.
Having that drive her for, I think it's been a few years, right, since her mom died. It's been 3 years. Is that what they say?
Yeah.
So
last expedition.
Yeah, it's that whole thing. The past 3 years of her working, getting the money, getting cast out almost as oh, she's the weird girl who's gonna go to Antarctica, and then for her to get to this point, that's kind of been the fuel to her fire. So for her to get here, it's oh, what do I do with my life now? This is kind of everything I wanted to do. But I do like everyone encouraging her, being like, no, this is, you can't just stop. You know, you can't go all this way and just stop. Yeah. I thought, you know, it was a funny thing. I thought that, you know, when I was watching the show, that episode 12 was the last one. I mean, I knew there was 13 episodes, but I just thought that I just ran through them. And the way episode 12 ends, I was like, that's how they end it with Shrase seeing all the emails blow up on her mom's computer. I was like, and then it rolled credits, and I was like, that's how the show ends, but there's a whole other episode. That would have been a crazy ending, though, because of how like that scene in particular. You know, you said that you cried. That scene was the one that got me.
That's the one that got me too. 13 didn't get me, but that one, 12 got me with that at the end. All the emails popped up, and then you can tell that she actually just sends like one a day.
Yeah.
She sends a single email a day, which is crazy.
Yeah, just kind of like recap like what she's done.
But like that's progress for her though. Like she understood eventually at some point that her mom's dead, but she still does it.
Yeah, to kind of maybe like cling to her, or, you know, again, I mean, her mom is the whole reason why she's doing all this, so, you know, kind of have that like journal almost, but only for her. Do you think that the captain read those emails?
I think she may have.
Yeah.
She should be like maybe the first couple. She's not gonna read all of them. She's gonna be like, okay, well, I see what's happening here.
He's like, all right. That's a lot.
She's like, I get the idea.
And I do like that, you know, that kind of payoff too of
the reply from mom.
Yeah, the whole like, oh, it looks even more beautiful in person, and then that's what they're looking at in that moment is the lights, the aurora. Oh, it all connected.
Yeah,
that was cool.
So everyone's looking at the lights. She gets finally the reply from mom that she wanted. Obviously not real mom, but hey,
right.
Yeah, that's kind of your mom.
And it is like the most kind of closure that you know that she could possibly get. With her going to Antarctica, I also really like the conversation, because, you know, again, up until this point, Shiraz has been really kind of down. You know, she has that conversation with her friends, and she's like, oh, I don't really feel like sad or stressed. I just kind of feel normal. So like she doesn't really feel anything. You know, that's kind of how she's felt the past few episodes. And then when they were sleeping on the snowcat during the blizzard, Kimari wakes up and thanks her for bringing her to Antarctica. And you can see that kind of changes her feelings and her expression to be like, oh, this is why I'm doing it. Like, yes, I'm doing it for my mom, getting here, all that stuff, but I can't forget what's the saying? It's like about like the trees in the forest.
If the tree falls in the forest, doesn't make a sound.
No, that's not the right one. It's
not
like
that one. That one. Okay.
It's like you're looking at a tree, but you got to step back to see the forest, something like that. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like if you focus too much on the tree, you'll ignore the forest.
Yeah, it's something like that. But yeah,
and if you focus too much on the forest, you'll like lose like the earth or whatever.
Sight of the tree. Yeah. That's kind of how I feel like she felt in that moment. She's like, oh, I have all these other reasons to be doing this. Like, once I get there, it's not the end, because I have all these friends, and I have, you know, even at the end of the episode, she has that speech, which was also a really good moment. Her expedition, leaving speech, and you know, she does promise that she will come back, and I believe she will. I believe they all will.
It's gonna be their yearly adventure.
Yeah, that yearly might be a lot. I don't know about yearly.
But they said they want to go every summer.
Every summer. That's a lot. That's a lot of time to be dedicating.
They'll just be like everyone else there, you know, just taking their time out.
Sure. And I'm sure they want to see the which I don't know if this was stated before, or if or if the captain decided in that moment, but they did name, or they are going to name, the observatory after the mom.
Mm-hmm.
which is really cool. Which was another cool moment to be like, oh, this. I mean, it
They
it makes
didn't
so much
outright
sense.
say it, but like they showed it,
Yeah,
which is I guess enough.
yeah, that was cool.
We got the penguin closure arc.
Yeah, dude, I love the moment when when Trase is just like kneeling down on the ground and she's like being mauled by like a dozen penguins.
She's like, they're
And
stinky, but they're cute.
yeah, just the whole time as other people are talking, she's just in the background with this, like, it was like conflict of emotions. And the
And like
other
they're not
girl,
like scared of her or anything, so they're not going away. They're just
yeah,
like,
yeah.
so she's like actually touching them, and like it's just peak.
Which I don't think they were supposed to, right? Because that was something in an earlier episode where it's like, oh, you have to stay a certain distance from any wildlife, and she's like, well, there's nothing, there's nothing we
Let's
can
stop
do.
me from these penguins.
Yeah. And then
Penguin.
when they were leaving, they were like getting a bunch of gifts from the people, which I thought was really nice. The one girl, it was a girl, right? Gave Shirase some photos and like, and at least the top one had it was like a picture of a bunch of penguins,
Mhm.
and she's just like, you can tell in that moment she was like, I don't care about what anyone else gives me, unless someone gives me an actual penguin that I can take home. This is the best thing I've ever received.
This is the photo of herself with all the penguins.
Yeah. It's like, this is all I need.
Was it the other girl who told them like the trip will be fine was basically just saying, yeah, I was lying. It was a lie. Because if I said it, then that means you guys could believe it, and that means you guys aren't stressing out. And that means if you guys aren't stressing out, less people are stressing out. So we gotta lie to make it work.
Yeah. It's like, which is like such a real moment to be like, no, we have to just make everyone feel better, you know?
It's like, no, like we actually didn't know if this was gonna work out. I just said that just because if it didn't work out, that would just be a nice sign of positivity. And if it did it, you can just brush it off.
Yeah. Would you say like these are lies that adults have to make sometimes?
Mhm.
Just like, yeah, you just lie to all the children. Ignorance is bliss, right?
We get the peak ending where the other friend went to the Arctic instead.
Okay, so I actually genuinely did not like that.
She's like, I don't want to copy you, but also like, let me kind of copy you.
Yeah.
I think it's more like, 'cause like, we know that she still wants to be friends, so she's like, if you're gonna experience it, I'm gonna try this by myself as well, because like they both went their own ways with that.
I mean, I got it when I was watching it. I was like, okay, yeah, it's a nice moment. They do have that connection. Megumi maybe feels like she's like catching up in the friendship. To try to give as much as as much as Kimuri is, but just, I don't know, I just felt like it was so weird, like,
Subtle flex.
I don't know, I mean, even from just like a story perspective, I get them wanting to have that nod to be like, oh, we're gonna wrap up the whole Megumi thing, because that's how the journey started, is when Kimuri left, we had the big scene, and it's also sort of reflective of like friendship and all that stuff. Like I get all the themes for having that little tidbit at the end. I just didn't like it. I just thought it was so weird to be like, oh, and Megumi left, and it's, okay, like, I don't know.
It kind of makes no sense because literally like they're leaving school to go, so that means that she also is like, I'm just also gonna leave school. Screw this.
Yeah, and like, again with the whole, you just said, I'm not gonna copy you. Oh, can I copy your homework? Sure, make it look different though. But like, she never had any interest, like, there was nothing to be like, oh man, one day I'm gonna travel, you know what I mean, like, I'm gonna do anything. So like, it just seems like a weird section of fan service, to be like, and here's the Megumi thing at the end. It's like, okay, I mean, I don't think that the last 30 seconds made the show any stronger.
I don't know, man. It pretty solidified Megumi's character. Kind of just was like, I'm you, but better. Her character arc hasn't actually never changed. She's like, I did it by myself.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm
which
kidding.
doesn't. No, I mean, I feel like there's some truth to that though. To be like, I don't know.
It's not really true because she needed the push anyway to do it. That Maria, it's okay. It's okay, Maria. It's good.
It's just a weird thing. Like I don't know. I just feel like I don't know. I don't feel like anyone watching this was like, but how is the Megumi thing gonna resolve?
There's one guy out there and he got it. He was like, let's go. He's like, Megumi is best girl. And
No.
finally get her. Can't wait for them to make the spin-off, which
Listen.
is the other place further than the universe, where we get to see just Megumi's point of view after the show. Where it's literally like picking up after like she leaves to go to Antarctica, and then we just see Megumi there, and she's crying, and then it's like we just pick up from there, and then her going to the Arctic, and then the last thing is her sending the photo,
A place.
and that's like a
slightly
3-episode
further than the universe.
OVA.
If there's anyone listening to this right now who was really excited about the Megumi arc, I'm gonna need you to unsubscribe. Because
Everyone unsubscribes.
oh no. So how are there 0 subs? How aren't I subscribed to this? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That was just a weird thing for me. I didn't like that. I don't know if there's really any. Shirase left her $1,000,000 in Antarctica.
A perfect gag. Coming
Yeah.
full circle.
Yeah, that was.
She's
cool.
like, I'll give you the $1,000,000. Actually, I didn't give you $1,000,000. You can let me ride here for free with you guys. That's kind of crazy.
Mhm.
And she's like, I guess I'll leave it anyway.
Yeah, which is interesting because is no one gonna go down there?
Not
Like-
really, because I guess they're still making the observatory. It's not done yet.
Sure, but like
Someone's
they
gonna
went
go
down
there and see it.
so
But I guess
quickly.
I guess the people who are going there are gonna know it's like for the mom, so they'll like hit, like if anyone goes to pick it up, like bing, no you don't. So until like it's like public, then like that's like an issue.
Oh, sure. Okay. Fine. I mean,
But like no one's
$1,000,000.
gonna notice like a bill like slipped out of there, right?
like Shirase and her crew go back next year and they just check on it, and Shirase's like, there's only
There's
like
only
8.
one bill here.
The envelope is empty.
There's only one. It's just the envelope. They just left the envelope with the note on it.
You know how you remember the episode of SpongeBob where they had to paint Mr. Krabs' house,
Mm-hmm.
and they got paint on his dollar, right?
My first dollar.
Yeah, first dollar. And one of Patrick's solutions was to like draw on it with crayon. I like the idea of this happening there, where she pulls it out and she's like, because like first feel, you can feel that the envelope is still full. You're like, all right, cool, no, and then you pull it open and you're like, what?
The crayon drawn bill.
Yeah.
It's good.
Also, there's no way the computer would have still worked, right?
No, it could. I mean, maybe not immediately. You gotta give that warm up time.
Yeah, but like, how cold was it down there? Like, you can put a computer in the fridge, I'm sure, but like, it had to get below 0 for years. You don't think that would like mess anything up, or like it getting cold and maybe like defrosting, and then like the water.
So
You know what I mean?
A defrost in Antarctica.
Yeah, why not? You never think it's above 32 degrees in Antarctica?
Not where that is, no. I think it's just cold.
You tell me that, but
It's more like the issue of it like working past that temperature. It's probable, but not likely to work.
yeah, I don't think so.
it's just a miracle of anime luck that the laptop
Mm,
happened to start up.
gotcha.
The dead mom became electrical wave currents to power the laptop.
Oh man. I like also like her cutting her hair. I thought that was very,
Cutting
very
her hair,
symbolic.
new beginnings, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, that was cool. And then when she like walks by and like both the adults, like the captain and the friend are just what?
The captain started crying during the speech.
Oh, that was so good.
They never show her actually cry. They just keep showing like everything below her eyes.
Mhm. Yeah, like her cheek and like the water.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, that was
they
cool.
they, they always want to. It's like it's always the animators too. The animators like I don't want to see her fully cry because some animator there was like she's my waifu, so we can't have her fully cry. We gotta have her only
Think that was the
partially
reason?
cry.
We must protect her.
That's it, dude. It's like everyone else they show the face, but then it's her they just have like from the like eyelids down. They don't show like the actual eye crying.
Hmm. I mean, I thought it was nice that she cried in that moment, right? Because this is all kind of full circle for her as well. I feel like we very easily focus on Shrase for obvious reasons, but with her,
It's the
it's
same thing though.
yeah, it's the same thing. You know, with her spearheading this voyage,
Mhm.
and then for her, you have her best friend. I'm assuming they're all they were best friends. Daughter to go on this voyage and like revisit where her friend died, and you know, we saw even more of like the flashback to when she died. You know, like with each flashback, I think we understand a little more and more as to why she blames herself for what happened. Because I think this is the first time where we've seen like the flashback of them out in the blizzard, and we see like the thing flapping, the like
Yeah,
cord, you know, and it's like whoa, like that.
it's like
That's
someone could have stopped and tried to go back, but then it's the blizzards that are not gonna stop. They're just gonna keep trudging.
yeah, and she was even talking about like she doesn't know how long that was like that. You know, even like 5 minutes could
It's like
be.
enough, and then it's the blizzard.
Yeah,
So then you're adding on
exactly.
more snow and everything.
Right. Um, and then I know this is probably like the fourth time we've seen it at this point, but still that moment where she's in the snow cat with the walkie-talkie, and
Mhm.
then you know, and the mom says something and it
Like it
crackles.
looks prettier, like looks beautiful or something like that.
Yeah, and then you know, and the captain like freaks out. She's like, "Oh, are you there?" or something like that. Still gets me too, even though again it's like the fifth time we've seen it. It's
It's
still
like
like, oh, she was alive for that moment. Like that's
her showing Shirase how to operate the comms because she feels guilty about it.
hmm yeah. She's like, oh, it's just a regular check-in. You should learn how to do this.
Mhm.
But it's obviously connected to
Yeah,
you know, to that moment. It's just like, ah, man.
the little things they don't say but they just show in this anime that really kind of push it up a bit. Like they could say a lot more and make it clear, but like even just showing it, it's like, yep, that's good enough.
Yeah, I feel like the payoffs in this show are like some of the most satisfying of any other anime I've watched. You know, because I mentioned it earlier, but you know, you have the show where you like them, and the end just kind of peters out, and you're like, all right, it was a solid show, I suppose. But this one does the opposite, where it's like pretty good show for the most part, and these last two episodes they just went crazy. They just lost their minds writing the last two episodes of this, or you know, adapting it from the manga or whatever. And it's just like every little thing, like you said, even the big moments of the email with the computer, but then also a lot of the small stuff. It all makes sense in an impactful way. It's not just like, oh, we're bringing back the thing. It's like, nah, it all hits on a very deep character level.
That's why Megami went to the Olympic.
Megumi is the one misstep, I'll be honest. I was hoping that she got text back and was like, this is Megumi's father. Megumi died. Please stop
You've been
texting this
blocked by
number.
this recipient.
Um, Yeah. And it's one of those shows where I do kind of wish there was more of it, because, you know, they did mention they're like, oh, we're going to go on more journeys and stuff. So, you know, they could go in Antarctica, maybe other stuff as well. That'd be cool.
I just want another season of them like going through Australia.
Australia? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, when they were like, yeah, in the town and stuff, they lost the passport.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
During an obsession is real.
Yeah. Yeah, no. It's a good cast of characters to like have do stuff. You know, I feel like they got that right. The personalities and all that.
Overall, Rayman seal of approval.
Nice. First one of this new
First
era.
one of new Untitled and Unfocused. Rayman seal of approval given. Place for it in the universe. I recommend.
Nice.
The arbitrary award that I always give out.
Well, it's only arbitrary if you say it.
I mean, like, it's either they get the seal or the stamp. Seal's better.
Okay. Seal's better than stamp. Gotcha.
I forgot. There was like a couple I gave the stamp out to a while ago. I forget. It's been too long.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Like, stamp's like, if you like this stuff, watch it. Seal is like, even if you don't like this type of stuff, highly recommend.
Is there anything below stamp? Is there anything negative? Where you're like,
We
don't
haven't
watch
come up
this?
with that yet. We could come up with the. We could come up with something for that.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, yeah, we'll have to brainstorm that. I would agree with you. I don't have any. I'm not, you know, I don't have the authority to like give stamps and seals and stuff. So I'll just say that
easy system too.
Yeah.
It's like it's only just watch this or maybe watch this. It's not like this is a 9.6 out of 10. I'm docking 0.4 points for, or no, 0.7 points was docked for this, but I gave it an extra 0.3 just to make up for this one thing.
I thought there was too much water, so I got to dock points for that. Yeah, I can't do it. But no, yeah, like I said, I very much enjoy this. I think people, I mean, no one listening to this hasn't seen it. That doesn't make any sense. But this is very well executed. Very, very, very solid show.
For the new listeners, I'm here for you.
If this is, listen, if this is your first time, that's insane. Could you imagine watching like a podcast talk about a finale of a show that you've never seen? That is bonkers.
That's me though. I do that like.
Why? It's like, you know, I've never seen this Game of Thrones. Let's go watch people talk about the last episode.
I don't know what was it like that. I watched a couple of the Kind of Funny podcasts with that, where they just like watch some movie and I'm like, I've never seen this before.
That's different. In my experience.
Okay.
I feel like
we're not that level.
Well, no, I mean, one, I feel like they mostly do movies, and two, I do that as well, but only for the movies that I know I'll never see. So then I don't care.
So there's someone who's never gonna watch A Place for It in the Universe, and they're like, they got the seal, I gotta watch it now.
Okay. But I feel like my point was, I'm not gonna say, hey, I recommend you go watch this.
We're not gonna watch Blade?
Like the old one or the new one?
Like Wesley Snipes' Blade?
No. I'm never watching that.
You don't like when he calls the vampires suckheads?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Because they're vampires, so he just calls them suckheads. Because they suck people's blood. With their heads. Technically. Not really. So, suckheads. Don't think too much about it, okay? The Blade movie is a very charming moment of Marvel cinematic history.
That was in the dark times. Before anyone cared.
People forget there's an Elektra movie.
There's a lot of movies. So we have the Rakugo show, right?
Okay.
And I feel like
This ending did not go how I thought it would go, but I'm okay with it.
um
I don't know if you're also on that page. That's a personal page.
I feel similar, but probably lower than
Okay.
you. I mean, I feel like generally I've been lower on this show than you have been. So like for
Tyler
me,
hates Rakugo.
I hate it. We need to come up with the negative right now so I can give it to this show. But no, I mean, like, I was just confused because like we didn't know how Shin died, right? Like before this, that was like the whole mystery of like, oh, what happened though, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so then in this moment where Bon drops,
Post-Shin death. Yeah.
yeah, where he like drops Shin and Miyokichi, right? In that moment, and
Yeah.
in that moment, I was like, oh, that's sad, and then it cuts to present time, and I'm like, wait, that's how he dies? That moment is
I
him
guess
dying?
they just drown in a river, I guess.
Just like that's
It's so
it was
abrupt.
just like abrupt. It was just like out of nowhere, and I was like, I mean, I guess I'm more
Well, like,
so.
she's kind of insane, too. She's like... She kind of went off the deep end there.
That's true. That whole scene leading up to that even was kind of crazy.
She's like, I don't care about him anymore. I always loved you. He's like, if you think about it, you're the one who screwed up everything. You screwed up my life and his life. It's like, you can atone for that. We can both just die.
Yeah, which is like, no. I have an alternative. But like, yeah. So I mean, I think I understand more so why Bon has kind of carried that his whole life. You know, because I feel like we've discussed it before of like, oh, how direct was his Shin's death with Bon. Because Bon feels somewhat guilty or whatever, right?
The answer is very direct.
Very direct. Yeah. So like I understand that a lot more. I just feel like I don't know, like
It's like, why would you never tell the daughter? I think it makes sense why you don't tell the daughter.
that's true. That is also very
No
true.
one wants to hear that your mom was insane and she tried to kill me and herself, and then your dad went and then he tried to save her, and then he also was falling down, and then he let go
Yeah.
because
It was
he didn't
like
want me falling.
it was like a Hawkeye and Black Widow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Bon has the Soul Stone now.
Which is too.
Yeah.
When he dropped them, it said double kill.
The like little achievement thing popping up on the screen. But yeah, no, I didn't like that. I don't know. I just thought it was like, I like how real it was, because moments like that are unique, because in other stories, right, like deaths are like these big events, right?
Mhm.
Like, oh man, like, an entire act of a story is dedicated to somebody's death. It's a grand, whatever, music swells, all that stuff.
Mhm.
And so something like this, where it was, still a big scene, but it's just not how I thought Shin was going to die. I don't know how I thought he was going to die, like I wasn't like, oh man, he's going to get like shot by a soldier or something,
Mhm.
because the whole like war thing has been present the whole show. I don't know. I just thought it was like a weird ending that I wasn't expecting, and I don't know if I like how it compares to the rest of the show, I guess.
So we also get his like performance leading up to it, and like him repeating basically the same thing, saying like, "I'll quit Rakugo. We can make a normal living."
Yep.
But that's not enough for Miyokichi. She really realized her mistake afterwards.
she's gone by this point. Like
Yeah,
like
she's
she,
mentally clocked out.
yeah, yeah.
In fact, it's probably better why she never returned home.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that was just a bad situation all around.
But he only went, and then like, I mean, let's be real. I mean, Bond was giving in. He did not. He was like, he's like, okay, I'll give in. And then he didn't realize how deep it was until after she said stuff, and he's like, oh, she's crazy.
Yeah. She is unwell.
He's like, I mean, if I kiss her, she'll come back to Tokyo. He's like, that's a win.
That's a win for me.
And then it's like, oh, we're not going to Tokyo. We're gonna die.
Oh no. It's like it reminded me of you're on a bus and you know how like buses have those little like cords that you pull to tell them to like stop. Imagine that like frantically just like trying to get off the bus. No, this is not the destination. I want to Tokyo.
And she shoves him to the railing, and then like Shin comes in, and he's like, don't die. We can do that. I can make it work.
Hey, what's going on here? What are we doing? But
So,
I mean, even even the daughter, like that whole thing. Again, we know a lot more. That's kind of the whole thing with the show, right? Of like, we know where it ends. Now let's watch the journey to see how we get there. And now seeing the daughter, like, oh, you kind of understand why she is the way she is. She's not just like super into Rakugo. Like she has this whole history that she doesn't even fully remember, right? Because she was a kid, but every little thing kind of built her to kind of where she is and what she does. I do like that moment where where she's talking to Bond still as a small child, as children usually are. They're usually small, and she just like refuses to stop doing Rakugo. She's like shouting it into the into the nature, and she even says that she's gonna kill him one day, which I thought was funny.
She said like in the first episode, she's like, I'm gonna kill you.
It's like, excuse me?
Turns out, like characters, they stayed consistent. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's because the first episode is the flashback, or like the flash, the flash forward, and then we get the flashback. So it's very easy to characterize up to that point.
I mean, I like Bond's response, where he's like, "Please do, put me out of my misery." And yeah,
I mean, the way he sees it, he feels like he killed both his best friend and then like his love.
Yeah. Maybe even ruin the life of his
and niece. Like his best friend's daughter too.
Yeah.
Now his daughter really. It's like he feels like he ruined 3 lives there.
Yeah. And he also doesn't feel like he's fit to carry on the entirety of Rakugo on his back.
He even said right now, like he says he died and only Yakumo stays. That's how he viewed it.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because when we get to see his perspective in the episode 13, that's also kind of pulling a little bit into the light, a little bit more, showing a bit. We see Yota performing the same thing that she was performing. The little girl when she was younger, when she told him to go die, and as she breaks down a little bit and tells her that she's having a kid as a single mother, and she's like, I already told the old man, he doesn't care.
Yep. Yeah. Which is cool, right? Because does Bond talk to her? Doesn't he say something like, "You're not like either of them"? Talking about her parents, basically saying like, "Hey, you're gonna be a better parent than your parents were to you," which is true because neither one of them good parents, right?
Like Shin tried, but that only after seeing Bond he tried, and he was willing to make those changes. By himself, he was never going to.
Yeah. I mean,
he just needed a push,
Whether or not he was trying, he still wasn't effective.
Yeah.
I mean, even the whole scene with him in the house looking like it was abandoned,
Mhm.
and like her having to get
Get
change
the
from
money, right?
strangers to pay for their meal.
And
It's
like the
like,
village is like pretty lucky that they're lenient on him.
mm-hmm,
They're like, yeah, just let him.
yeah. It's like
Mhm.
you can try, and trying is definitely a good start, but it's like trying doesn't make you a good parent.
So he really was doing nothing without Bond. Once Bond came in, he's like, I gotta clean up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And the mom, you know,
Mhm.
even if we take away everything and anything the mom has ever done, the mom killed herself and her daughter's father.
Mhm.
So I feel like that qualifies as not good.
I feel like she was probably broken by like post having the kid. Like they were pretty happy before the kid, and I feel like once you're having that kid, like the relationship changes completely. And we get to see it evolve like a little bit. Like even like Shin's explaining it a bit. He's like she'd go and come back, and then like she'd yell at me for like drinking booze or whatever, and then she'd go again, and then come back, and then
I mean, I don't even think that they loved each other.
they loved Shin or loved Bond, and that's what they loved. So
Yeah. It's like that right there is like, why would you have a child?
they had a one mutual love.
And it was Bond. Um, oh, and then at the very end, Yota asks to inherit the name.
Yeah, he
Which,
wants to
like,
be next to Genroku.
yeah,
And you
which
know he's gonna say,
never,
not yet.
never, it'll never happen. He says, I want the name. And then Bond like leans down, and's like, I'm gonna kill you. She's like, why is this such a common piece of dialogue in this show?
I'm gonna kill you.
Do you know the Muffin Man? What? I don't understand the reference.
I'm gonna kill you.
I'm gonna kill you. Sir, are you okay? Did I do something to offend you?
I mean, overall, show good. Show good. I'll give it the seal with like an asterisk
Wow.
and be like, so it's like better than Stamp or maybe Stamp with asterisk. It's like it's a nice slow burn show.
Okay.
Like stuff happens every episode, but like it varies on what actually happens, you know? Like maybe one thing happens, maybe a lot of progression happens, but like at least it's moving forward continuously. And it does tell at least for the flashback, a complete story.
I'm gonna go on my analyst. I'm gonna tell you the scores I gave everything. I'm gonna do that.
I don't use Mal because I'm scared of Mal. I feel like someone's gonna look at my Mal account and then
I don't use Mal anymore because Mal is overrated. What's the show called? Rakugo? Rakugo, I gave a 68.
it's a pretty good score.
Yeah, I thought it was fine.
I think if you gave me like, I'd give it like a 76 or a 77. So as you said, a bit more positive than you, but like
For comparison, I gave Universe
like a
81.
90 something. 81.
81. It was definitely in that like 8 range, whereas this show was more in like 7 range. Universe, going back to that real quick, Universe would have been higher if some of the other episodes were stronger, I feel like.
Okay, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like these last two episodes are pretty much tens, and then like we're looking like other stuff that are like,
Yeah.
like it's like a 7, you know?
Yeah.
Like for some
7s,
episodes,
8s, yeah. But with this show, like I said, it was fine. There was definitely a number of episodes where I was like, man, I feel like nothing happened in this episode.
Like again, like I feel like at least one thing happens in the episode. There always is like a little movement. It's a little movement. I don't think there's a dead episode. I
I
feel like
also
there's
feel like,
low episodes. There's always like at
sure,
least one thing move forward.
for me, and again, this is just like, at the end of the day, it's just whether something is my cup of tea or not. You know what I mean? But
Tyler likes coffee, so
yeah, drink it every day. Um, Caffeine addiction, a real thing. Some people don't think it is. I just feel like for a show that has to be so character driven because of just what the show is, right? Didn't particularly care about any of the characters. You know,
that's a
like
fair thing to say.
there wasn't any character where I was like ride or die with them the whole time. Where I was like, whenever this character's on the screen, love it all the time. Like I don't know what it was. It was just like I don't particularly care.
Yeah, no, that's definitely like an opinion thing. I'm not gonna lie. Like you just didn't vibe with any of them,
Yeah,
and I think that's okay to say. That's a for people who have like your similar tastes or stuff. They're not gonna vibe with anyone in this show, and not really have like an attachment.
yeah,
That's a good remark.
yeah. I mean, I feel like for me, it might just be because they bounced around so much. Also, there wasn't really that many characters. Like it was really just
Really get like 3 POVs,
yeah,
maybe 4,
yeah. I mean, it
but
was
it's like pushing
mostly
it.
yeah. Like for the most part, it was Bon and Shin, and then there were times where they weren't even together, and I'm like, I don't. And then 90% of the episode was a Rakugo performance, and I'm checking out. Like I don't. Is this part of the story? I don't even know. And the credits roll, and I'm like, all right, cool. 6 out of 10. You know, that was my experience with the show.
It's okay. It's a good thing to say. I feel like you do rah rah rah. Do rah 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 rah. There's like 3 seasons of that.
It's on my list. I'll get to it at some point.
I will gladly watch that for this podcast.
I know you will.
Not because I've already seen it, but also because like it's been a while since I've seen it. So like I'd be okay watching it again just to remember what happened.
Sure.
Because like I think they do rah rah like it's a show that just has a lot of characters that are variously different.
Mm.
So if you don't like one person, you're bound to like someone out of like the cast of like 50 people or something like that.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. There's like so many. It's like you gotta like one of them.
Like one of these guys you got to like because there's just too much of them. It covers all the bases. And then like also with Durara as well is like every character has like their small role in like the mega story. Like some of them have larger roles, but even the most minuscule character that you see for like maybe 10 seconds did something that's like you did it. You did the one thing that's the catalyst for all this to blow up.
I see.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, so every character has a purpose.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Like the character you see for like maybe like 10 seconds in episode 1 comes back in like episode 30 or something. And then you're like, hey, weren't they the one who did this? And then you're like, oh, they are doing stuff with this character and this pushes them to do that. But you never knew that. So everyone's connected in some weird web thing in Durara. Durara. That's fun to say.
So we got Megalo Box, right?
Okay.
Um,
Megalo Box ended as anticipated.
yeah, it was kind of like exactly
That
what I
was
thought was gonna
what
happen.
I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And if I had to rate it over the OG, it's kind of tough. I think they're kind of even in my head.
I think I probably like the first one more.
Probably the first one like stands a bit by itself more. But this one's still good.
I mean, they are, we kind of came into this, right? Even way back when you recommended we watch the show at some point. you always said like, oh, it is, from what you've seen, it's a very different show, right? Like it is two, but it is a very different approach. And, I feel like that's the main reason why, I put just a little bit below. Like, one example, even with this finale, we didn't really see the boxing match all that much.
No.
It wasn't really
we
about
did
that.
see it, but I mean, like, it's only for episode 13, and it's only a little bit.
Yeah, and especially with them being like, this match will go down in the history books, and I'm like, is it? We only saw 30 seconds of it.
I think that's like the duality of it. Like season 1 of MEGALO BOX, it's all about the boxing.
Mm-hmm.
Season 2, as we know, not all about the boxing, really.
Not all about the boxing. Nope, not at all. Yeah. I mean, it is more about like what happened to Joe, him becoming NOMAD. I mean, even until the very end, them still having the NOMAD story allegories, right?
Mm-hmm. They just want a place to go home.
Yeah. Which,
like throwing in the towel for Joe, saying like, hey, we don't need you to fight this out.
Yeah. Which I thought was great, right? Like Sacho having Pops there to be like, hey, you can, this is your choice. He definitely wants to keep fighting. If he never threw in the towel, Joe would have kept going until he dropped. And even Yuri was like, hey, don't die. and Joe definitely would have if he kept going. But yeah, I mean, for it to end that way, from to throw in the towel, and then we see everyone's lives kind of being good, right? No one seems on the downslope like we were in the beginning of the show or beginning of the season. Sacho going out doing like engineering or something.
Being a mechanic now.
Yeah, mechanic. That whole thing.
Learning more about gear and all that.
Joe having his like gym. I mean, all the kids are there, have accepted him, all that good stuff. He's not leaving this time. He made a point to say that. Not leaving. I will be back. We'll be right back. Who was the other? Oh, Mio. I thought was, we talk about full circle moments with Place for the Universe. Mio sitting at his dad's grave, carving
he's making the hummingbird.
Yeah, which is like, it's so good.
We get Lou doing his PT, his physical training now.
Yep.
Trying to get back in, so him and Yuri are back. Max with his family, he's trying to chill now. Boxing's done.
As it should be.
Mm-hmm.
And then even that you're talking about Mac, it was clearly coming, right? But I still like the scene where he goes up to the one doctor or the scientist or whatever, and he's like, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. The whole like chip in my brain thing. I'm not a part of that anymore. Like, I'm gonna do this match and then we're out.
Yeah, man. We like to see like Mac and Joe in the ring together, acknowledging each other as individual nomads.
Yeah, I like that moment too, where where like even Mac notices the hummingbird on his shoulder, and they like talk to each other about the NOMAD like story and stuff, and they kind of connect over that because they both kind of feel they like fit into that journey. That was cool.
I mean, I think the best way to describe MEGALO BOX for the normies out there, to the more normie anime that's going on, it's gonna be like this. I can relate it using to Vinland. So.
That's a really good comparison, actually.
You get your season 1, and you go into it and you're like, this is what it is. And then you get your season 2 and you're like, you take that step back and you're like, this is a completely different show than what it was.
Season 1 is more like fast-paced, more like action-y, and then the second season is more like character like rebounding or like reflecting on what happened in the first season.
And they do it like in two different ways, obviously for different sets of characters and motivations, but it makes sense on why both do it the way they do.
And different lengths too. Vinland Saga is 2 cores for each of its seasons. They have more time. But yeah, no, that's like a perfect comparison. Um, yeah, yeah. I still
So,
enjoyed it though. I thought it was still cool.
so I think I give this the stamp, and I'm like, if you like Megalo Box, jump into Nomad if you're okay with mixing it up a bit. Where I think Megalo Box, if we're going back to the OG, it gets the seal.
Gave this a 78. So it's, it's like a high 7.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Because like I said, like the pretty much every episode hit. I don't think there was an episode where I was like, we could have skipped this one. But it doesn't quite reach like the heights of the first one in my mind, where I'm just in, even with Vinland Saga.
I think we're
I was
spoiled by like the first couple episodes of Nomad, and we're like expecting to like match that quality.
sure. I mean, but
Chief
like,
really kind of has a big impact.
yeah, I mean, the first couple are mostly with him with like his drug stuff, and then we have the next few which are with Chief. I feel like about halfway is when it starts to dip a little bit, when I'm like, it's still good, but there's something missing. That I think is where it starts to dip. Where like, if the second half of the show matched the first half, I think it would be at least an 80. It would have got over that hump for me. But it didn't.
Then you were going on with the comparing it to Vinland Saga a bit more.
Oh no, yeah. I was just gonna say that was true for me with Vinland Saga as well, where I liked the first season more than the second season. I still enjoyed the second season of Vinland Saga, probably more than other people did. I think a lot of people were like, "That's not our Thorfinn."
I'm big on like farm arc, dude. I love it so much.
Yeah,
I think it's my favorite arc of the show. Or even reading the manga, I think it's my favorite arc.
I'll be interested in the next arc to see how they pull it off and what exactly he's gonna do. Kind of more, I feel like even with the first season, people compared the show to Game of Thrones a lot, just with like the setting and then also the like brutality of it. And then with where they're going with the third season, I don't really want to spoil anything, but I could definitely see more like growth, right? Not only with the character, but also with the world, I guess. So I'm interested in that.
Oh man, it's good stuff, man. I quite enjoy it. The manga's gonna be ending soon for that.
Oh, okay.
I think they only got like a couple more chapters before it's done. Like within like the
knock something over. That's cool. I wonder if it'll. Oh, you know what that reminds me of? We're talking. I think last week mentioned Beastars, probably because of Land of the Lustrous. My whole beef with Beastars.
It's the Studio Orange beef.
Yeah, Studio Orange beef. You were talking because I mentioned season 3 coming out. They said that was the final season, so I was hoping that after that get back to Land of the Lustrous, which is their only good show they've ever made.
I like Beastars.
Yeah.
I know it's not for everyone, so it's fine.
I liked the first season a lot. Second season I thought was boring.
Dang, I like second season a bit more. At least the manga without the anime does it.
We all have opinions. Some of us are wrong. You were talking about how the manga was like kind of short, right? It was like a shorter manga compared to other ones.
Yeah, that's why it's the final one. Yeah.
I think, if I read this right, I think the third season of the show is new story. Like it's not adapting from the manga.
I mean, it could be. Like there is manga there for that.
But isn't that crazy? Like, if there's more manga, why would you?
Honestly, I'll be real with you. If it is going in anime only, I'm kind of more down with that than because I think the ending is abrupt, and I think there's a lot more that could be explored in Beastars. I think the problem I have with Beastars as a whole is that there's a lot more that could have been explored, but wasn't. And I've read the author's other one-shots where she kind of uses the same world to tell other smaller stories.
Mm-hmm.
And it truly opened my mind that like there's so much more that she could have done with Beastars that she just didn't, or felt like it didn't match with the type of story she was going for that larger arc. And I still feel like there's a lot more to look at. Like there's hints and all this stuff of like a weird world building, and it's like, man, it's like kind of interesting. But then it's just not there.
Do you think they ended it to try to capitalize off the hype of the show? Because I think they ended the manga like right after the first season ended.
I think she ended the manga. She was just done. Also, like she like wrote it anonymously, and then like it was pretty found out eventually that like I think her mom and dad were both in the industry. She kind of wanted that to be low key, so she only revealed it after the anime announcement, I think.
That makes sense.
But after the anime came out, there she was writing for quite a bit, and then she ended it. But then she still came out with like her one-shots involved in the world, a couple more chapters, not a lot more. There was like 2 or 3 more she dropped. I haven't seen her anything else she wrote since. It's been a while, but they were pretty good. I like Beastars because it was unique. It was a very interesting concepts, very interesting way to build a world and show stuff off. And I mean, it does, the base idea of like, for us, we can be like, hey, look, it's Zootopia, and kind of like a, what if Zootopia was like this, and just like pull it apart a bit more. But then like she looks at it more pragmatically, like it actually like goes into like stuff that would be issues, or like how would a society even become like this, or like how would you build it like this, and then kind of hinting at stuff, and then. There's some weird stuff that just doesn't get touched on for like world. I'm not saying it because it's gonna be showing in season 3, and I don't want to like accidentally spoil anything for anyone who's gonna be watching it. But like, there's some weird world building, and when she kind of drops that stuff, and it never goes past the explaining what the real intentions of that are, it got me a little upset because I was really excited for those stuff, because there were pretty big discoveries that she was just like. Boom, here's like a knowledge bomb for this world. And then I'll never touch this ever again because the manga's over.
Yeah, I feel like it's always tough whenever a story does that. When it's like, oh man, as a viewer or a reader, you felt like there was much more for them to explore. Like little things that you set up, and it's like, oh, you're not paying those off. Okay, interesting.
At least the main story gets tied up. That she was doing, at least for the last arc. She ties up the main story. It's like the little pieces of world building and the nuggets that she just gave just doesn't ever get expanded on.
When we talk about that in the episode? We mentioned Wonder Egg. Where I was like, that's kind of the same thing to me. Where it's like, I suppose we can always get more Wonder Egg. It's very possible. But that's kind of another thing where towards the end of the show, we had some theories about like what they're setting up and like how this story could become huge. And it didn't. And again, we could get another season, I guess. But it's like, oh man, what if they did do all that,
It's the accidental hyping yourself up for something and then it's not hitting that hype.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like in situations like that, I don't even think it's accidental because it is something that they said. It's something that, it's not like it's not a fan theory. Like with Wonder Egg in particular, we're more so hyping up like the like war that they were talking about, like actively talking about this like weird battle between light and evil, or something like that. So it's like you say it. It's a thing. It's in the story. Obviously there's like fan theories and stuff. That's different. But yeah. So like whenever stories do that, and they'd never talk about it, and it's like, oh no, this is it. This is the end. It's like, oh, why'd you talk about any of that other stuff?
Okay, so just to give you a hint, right? Like you've seen season 2, right? for Beastars.
Yeah.
So like you know that he's not enrolled in school anymore at that point.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, he just kind of like leaves.
Mm.
And he's like doing his own thing. And then like
Well,
Lewis is
he
at
like
the
killed a bunch of people, didn't he?
yeah, and then Lewis is at the school, right? So you get like the
Yeah.
you get that right. So basically, like while he's doing his stuff, like while Legoshi's doing like Legoshi stuff,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we get to see like a little bit of like what Jack's doing at school and what he's learning about, and like he's taking like exclusive dog classes that only dogs take because they're the only ones trusted with this information. You know, like hints of like what happens to like people like before, like humans,
Mm-hmm.
and like what led to this, and they never touch on it ever again.
Mm. Yeah, that sucks. Yeah, yeah. I mean, something like that sounds like that could be really interesting. So yeah, if they don't really develop that, that's unfortunate.
And it's like why? And then like you know, like me reading, I'm like, so like they're specifically dog classes, and they're learning about the past humanity. And I'm like, cause like, and then I'm like putting it, I'm like, oh, it's like, cause like they're supposed to be like man's best friend or whatever. So like they're learning like the truth of like the world before. It's like you just never touch anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, stuff like that kind of makes you wonder, like, oh, did whoever made this, did they have plans to touch on it later? And then they kind of like, what happened? Did they get overwhelmed by their own ideas?
Yeah, I think that's what happened. Like she just like was like, I feel like she probably could write more, but then she's like, this is like where I'm gonna end it.
Alright.
What does that have to do with Nomad? That's what I'm trying to remember now. It was like the Beastars tangent.
I don't know.
It was Studio Orange.
Yes, the orange. The worst color. So yeah, so next week we got coming back to our other shows.
What were they? Remind me. It's been 2 weeks.
Yeah, so we're gonna do 10 and 11 of Mobile Suit Gundam, Iron Blooded Orphans, Nana, and Summertime Rendering, which I'm very excited for. I think these 3 shows are like different enough from each other. I think that that in itself. Also, just excited to get back to summertime. You know what I'm saying?
Summertime's the real king.
Oh man, it hits.
If summertime ever falls down in quality, that's gonna be
that's the end of the
we
podcast.
can title the podcast "It's Jover."
Yeah.
And then the next one, when like summertime goes back up, we'll be like, we're Barack.
Yeah.
And we'll just use the memes. We're good. So that way the watchers or listeners can know, like, this is the one where summertime goes down, and then it's like, summertime came back here.
Oh, nice. Yeah, you just kind of pick and choose. And then we are adding a 4th show, Barakamon. So we'll do 1 and 2.
Like from Mortal Kombat?
Yes.
Makes it Pokemon all of a sudden?
Digimon, actually. Because Digimon...
What does he Digivolve into?
Probably a human. Like all the
Digimon do.
Digimon do.
Digivolve from?
Like a crab.
Alright, that's fine.
Yeah. Which seems opposite because everything wants to get to crab. So something getting from crab.
So we're saying that Barack is the next step of evolution?
Yeah. Everything gets to crab and then gets to human.
All crabs want to be human, but every human gotta be crab.
Grass is always greener,
Just the deep lore.
So yeah,
Floor.
those are shows. What are your we just talked about finales, right, of these 3 shows. We're about a third of the way through our other shows, except for Nana, we're more like a fourth. You have any predictions, Ray? You mentioned like summertime, if it ever fell off.
If summertime fell off, I would probably hate summertime for like the rest of. I don't think I could ever forgive it, even if it got bad good again. I don't think I could ever forgive it for falling off if it ever does.
I feel like the only one that I'm wary about is Iron Blooded Orphans. I feel like Nana is gonna be what we've seen already.
Nana's gonna be consistent.
It's gonna be consistent, and then summertime is gonna be a banger consistently.
Unless it falls off.
No, it won't. It won't. If
I hope it doesn't. If summertime falls off, it's just gonna be like the worst episode ever. Because then we can start ranting about that, or maybe the best. We'll start ranting about summertime.
Like
it was so
episode.
good. It was so good. Why did they do this?
It's gonna be 3 hours before we talk about Nana and Iron Blooded Orphans.
IBO's IBO. I watch it and I'm like, that was fun.
IBO, I feel like is the only one for me that could fall down.
Even if it did fall down, though, you're not losing much. That's the worst part, or the worst best part of IBO.
Sure.
So, like everything else that dips down a bit, you're not really losing much. Summertime rend rate falls. Oh my gosh, it's catastrophic.
My only problem with that is IBO is 25 episodes. So I don't want it to fall down and have to trudge through 15 more episodes, you know what I'm saying?
You're fine.
Wait
till season 2's happening.
If it falls down, we're not doing season 2. I'll tell you that right now.
It's like pushing the life alert button and you're not like picking it up, you're just like watching it. You're staring at it, you're staring down at it. It's like the meme where like the Pepe's on the ground with his chicken nuggets. You're just staring at it from above. It's looking up at you. And you're like, I'm not picking you back up.
I'm not doing it. It won't happen.
It's big.
So yeah. That's it, Rayman.
That's it. What a wonderful way to close it. We got 3 good shows. None of them were actually bad.
Yeah.
It's like there's something redeemable in each of these. They're all about like 7 out of 10s in your eyes.
No. Place for the universe. 81.
Plus, okay, 7 plus out of 10.
Yeah. 8.
Because even like Rakugo, you gave like a 6.8 basically.
Yeah.
It's like a 7.
Yeah. I'll make a prediction. On average, this batch will be higher scored by me than the last batch.
How much of that's gonna be summertime?
Oof. Summertime might carry, but I don't think
it is a medium score though. It's a medium score, so
it's here.
Like, I'm gonna assume like you're gonna have an IBO like around a 6 or 7.
Okay.
And then Nana gets by with like a 7.5.
Okay.
Or like 7.4 or something like that.
Okay.
You're kind of a freak. That's my like prediction. You're not gonna give like a 75. You're gonna give like a 74. Like, yeah, that's better.
I actually rate it a 75, but I'm like, no, it's too normal. 74.
That's exactly what it is, and you're like, it's not good enough for a 76.
I feel very attacked.
But how correct was that though?
This podcast used to be a safe space.
How correct was that though? It sounded pretty correct. I mean,
I will score your statement a 74.
Let's go.
Okay.
If rate doesn't fall off, you're gonna give it like a 92.
Maybe.
And you're docking 8 points for every panty shot they showed in each episode.
Only 8?
You're not gonna do every shot to dock points. You're just gonna be like 8 points just for excessive fan service.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, because I don't have.
Because then if you did that, dude, we'll hit like 23 or something like that by the time we're done. And you'd be like, how is this show 23 points out of 100 every time they have like a fan service shot, dock a point?
Right. Yeah, because so far I haven't been cataloging that. Obviously, I haven't.
I'm about to go back and watch every single episode just to be like, got one here, got one here, got one here.
Now, does this one count as 2? Because we cut away and then we cut back. Does it count as 2
like,
shots?
This is also like the repeat of a scene they've shown like 3 episodes ago. So like, do we count this again?
When he goes back in time, is that 2 or is that 1? Because technically, same thing happening. Should we separate them by character?
I'm about to do that. I'm about to go pull up the chart. I'm also gonna start counting male fan service in case I ever see it happen.
Ooh,
I don't think it's going to, but I'll make a count of it just to point it out.
Male fan service.
We give points.
We give points. There we go. That's how it works.
Because female fan service is too excessive, so we give points for male fan service to balance it out.
Yeah.
Now, if we're watching Haikyuu, we actually inverse that. We flipped the script with that. Not that I remember much fan service in Haikyuu, actually, so I'll restate that. We'll put Free there, because Free's the swimming one.
Oh, yeah. Free, definitely, yeah.
So every time there's a shot of male fan service in Free, we dock a point. But if it's female fan service, we bump it up.
I feel like some shows would be in the negatives if we had to dock for fan service, you know?
Like shows we can't watch without happening. We can't watch Fairy Tail. That's just impossible.
Prison School.
Can't do that. We'd lose points.
Yeah.
At the moment it hits 0, we cut the show.
We just end it.
But that's going to be a new idea for the podcast, is a fan service show that we just watch until we get to 100 scenes of fan service and we just cut it and it never shows up ever again.
We could do that.
Maybe not 100. Like, we'll be like, and if it gets below like the 65, the failing grade, it's out. Or like, what's the failing out of it? 65, 55? It doesn't matter.
I don't know. They change it.
If it gets below whichever number, just, you're out, dude. And then it's just a new fan service show appears, and we just do it every time. That's a fun roulette that I'm not sure we could survive.
Are there enough shows?
There's a lot of horny anime fans. I think we got enough shows. There's a backlog of it for sure.
But like how
there's
quickly,
at least 3+ made a season.
How quickly? I mean, because like, are we getting through 2 episodes of a show and then having to cut it? You know what I mean?
Okay, like I don't think we're gonna get through that much 2 episodes unless we're watching like something like Keijo.
Oh, you're saying you don't think there's gonna be that many in that short of an episode? I see.
Yeah.
Okay. But like, I'm trying to think of like I can't think of any fan service shows at this point. What about like a
High School DxD, the Keijo? I think we can get kind of far in those. Like, I think there's like not Keijo. I think DxD you can get kind of far in because like it's got to establish I think it's got to establish some story. There's fan service for sure, but like it's got to establish some story first of all, and then it starts ramping up.
That one does have more story than its
Keijo.
peers. Yeah.
But then like it does hit like later points where it's just all fan service. So then like it's the duality of it.
How far would we get in redo of Healer? 1
4,
episode?
Maybe 5.
Yeah. I've never seen that show. I just know that's like the stigma around the show.
Because like the thing is like it's the 2 sides of the all anime hatred. It's like you have excessive fan service and then you have like unwarranted rape and torture. So like you pick your side.
You gotta pick one.
It's got both. So it turns out it's playing the game like SAO did. which is terrible to say because SAO does not do it quite as hard.
That's true. That's definitely true.
SAO definitely saves it for like the last couple episodes of like the season, where it's like this is the who's gonna rape Asuna part of the SAO, or who tries to, never actually gets that done.
And that like last arc, just like, ooh, this is weird. I don't like this. I remember me rewatching that show for the first time, me talking to you about that, and be like, I didn't like this. You could have just left that out.
I think this didn't need to be here. It was pretty good without it.
Yeah.
I was quite enjoying it, and like all of a sudden this guy kidnaps her, and is like, I'm gonna rape her, and then everyone's like, no.
You wouldn't have to change much about that either. You could just make it be more of a like a business move. You know, be like, oh, we're taking her so that, you know, we can get her family. You know, wasn't that the thing? Like her family was like powerful. It's like that was like
They're rich, right? Yeah.
Yeah. That was like, so like you didn't have to go that far. You could have just kidnapped her, and that could have been the end.
It's the classic thing. Like if you make a villain say they're gonna rape someone, they become irredeemable.
Yeah.
So you know they're the bad guy.
Well, you know what that doesn't work for?
Redo of healer.
I wouldn't know.
That's your protagonist. That's why.
But I will say that a character that broke that breaks your rule, Ray, is in The Walking Dead, Negan. Negan from The Walking Dead, the dude with the spike bat.
Mm-hmm.
He gets redeemed. Spoilers, I guess, for Walking Dead, but who cares?
Is he an advocate for women?
Nah. I mean, early on we have those moments, right, where it's like, oof. But then show goes on. When you give a character 6 more seasons,
anything's possible.
You know, people still hate his character, but other people are like,
he's done some good.
Yeah, I mean,
it doesn't erase the bad, but he's done the good.
And that's exactly what the argument is, where I feel as well, where it's like, he should not be, you know, his like history shouldn't be erased, but I mean, he literally saved the lives of some of the most precious main characters in the show. So, you know,
all I know from Negan is everything I know from Tekken 7. Named he got his bat Lucille. Call that a vampire bat. Just a bat with nails in it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
There's nothing more there. Like that's all I know.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, no. So that's it, right? So we're gonna watch the anime next week. It's gonna be a good time. Yeah, I'm excited to start a new show, Bakuman, all that stuff. And yeah, I guess that's it.
I don't know how serious I am about the summertime rendering thing, but if I do it, you'll see it very happening. It will be. Sure. I will send you a set chart if I ever get to do it.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, we'll see it.
May not be this season. Maybe like in a bit. It'll be like, yeah, I came up with the summertime rendering chart because it's stupid, and I decided to do it.
Hey,
this episode's gonna be saved for future ideas.
Yeah. It's gonna be chronicled.
When the fan service roulette happens, remind me here. This is when the idea of the fan service roulette starts.
Let's see if it ever leaves the ground.
Can't watch Fairy Tail. We'll be smoked in Fairy Tail.
Yeah, no, that's true.
We'll get maybe through like 12 episodes and be like, the show's done. And like, there's like 200 more, and I'm like, yeah, show's done.
You don't need to watch the rest.
It's like we've already passed the fan service cap. It's done.